Democracy is not only sustained by the systems put in place, but also by the very people who trust that these systems will protect them. Good morning, and welcome to the People's Baraza, a space where we gather as voters and as citizens who have a stake in how we want our country to be run. My name is Hope Nabalayo, and I will be your host today, joined by Malim, who I will allow to introduce himself before we dive into today's discussion. Karibu sana.
Thank you so much, Hope. My name is, as she has rightfully put, is Ahmed Maalim Ado. I am but a Kenyan who feels that this country is better for us, not without us. Yeah.
Thank you very much for that. In today's first conversation, we'll be talking about trust. What is the price of mistrust? What is the cause of this mistrust among Kenyans? And most importantly, how can we rebuild it? In your experience as a lawyer and a governance practitioner, what would you say is the reason behind mistrust among Kenyans?
You know, let me just give a simple analogy. A dress has been designed or made for a certain person. If it fits the person, then the tailor has done their work. If it doesn't, you see, the dissatisfaction with the tailor is not because the tailor did anything, but because he or she did not ensure that dress fits the person. So the most unfortunate bit, we have a very good system on paper, but a very hard bureaucratic system that ensured the same story of 1969 remains. For instance, you'll find the Constitution of Kenya 2010 very explicitly talking about how our election should be run. And number two, you have the Elections Act, then the Political Parties Act, all these laws meant to create that trust. But unfortunately, because of the persons running the system, then the trust keeps on eroding. And why we are talking about trust when we are using the biometric? It's as simple as, do Kenyans trust the person running it? Yes.
That's very correct. And just to drop some numbers, Kenya actually has one of the most expensive elections in the world. We run an extraordinarily expensive election cycle. Just previously in 2022, we spent approximately 35.8 billion shillings in the very things you've mentioned, just in an attempt to somehow assure the voters that the final result is correct, is accurate. So is this a case that elections are actually expensive, or are we paying what we can call the mistrust tax?
True. The last part of it is the most correct aspect. These are mistrust tax. You know, trust is earned not through the words of mouth, not through the system that you put in place, this, and now. It's about the person doing it. Are you open? So in most of the time, like now, if today I ask every one of us to go online and go to the website of IEBC, will you be able to get the most crucial information? Then number two, are you transparent? Is IEBC or our systems of governance generally, is it transparent in terms of, we want to do A, B, C, D because of 1, 2, 3. So do we know where are we coming from and where are we going to? So generally, we are simply just paying, that mistrust tax and keep on the 35 billion. This year, maybe 2027, it might be 100 billion or more.
Exactly.
And the question is, the thing is that 35 billion or that 1 billion, 100 billion has not gone to water, hasn't gone to road. So it has become another recurrent expenditure that you cannot put something to it. that there is this concrete wall that we have from it, nothing. Then number two is that, unfortunately, we changed our constitution of 2010 constitution. It's a very good document. But who are the drivers? The people of 1969 constitution. So, unfortunately, if you had a driver that wrecked certain vehicle, and then you buy a new one and put the same drivers, so they still think this is the same vehicle. So we have people who are running the system of 2010 constitution with the thinking of 1969 constitution. They're stuck there.
So what I'm getting is the system needs a complete turnaround.
Sure. Not just as a system, the people
running the system.
The people running the system. It's not about, someone who has been there since in 90s to death, still the same person. Unfortunately, they have nothing else to offer. What they have to offer is telling us that sometimes we have conversation with even older lawyers who feel some things must be done that way. But unfortunately, what the law says versus what is done is totally different. And IEBC, or generally the election management board in this country, needs to be in hands of people who do not have the nightmares and the dreams from 1969 constitution. They need to read the current law as is, not have any other thinking. When you go into a conversation into a journey with a predetermined mind that I have ever done this, and then definitely you're going to meet the same thing. So predetermination has been the issue. You have someone who thinks things must be done this way, who feels, yes, the law says this, but lazima haya, these things must happen in certain manner. And Faye, I hope, let me take you away from it a bit. We have a constitution.
That's right.
That sets everything.
That's right.
Unfortunately, we are a country that has over 500 legislations. We do not legislate to create a better environment for governance or a better environment for business. We legislate to control the citizenry.
Now, just to get you on that, speaking of these legislations and the Constitution, it also clearly states that as citizens, we have the right to democracy. We have specific responsibilities that we need to participate in when it comes to these civic participations and democratic practices. So apart from the systems and the people in these systems, what then can we do as citizens to ensure that we hold these people accountable and we have that transparency that we need? You yourself, which Malim is not telling us, but he is vying for a political seat. Perhaps you could give us an example of how you yourself are making sure you are transparent with your people, with your community, and how other leaders and other communities can practice that as well.
Issue of transparency. Can you have a donkey that you're calling a horse? So will it make it a horse? Unfortunately, no. So we have a donkey and we've called it a horse. And we've taken it for a race. Will it become number one? Unless we shoot the other horses. We shoot down the other horses or find a way of ensuring the rider slows down so that the donkey can pass. Normally our children watch those cartoons. There is a situation where you find, what do you call it? The tortoise and the rabbit competing. And the tortoise ends up winning.
There's always a moral lesson there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So as a country, yes, we have a very nice system. We have a very nicely educated citizenry. But unfortunate, when it comes to civic education, number one is, how do we vote? Why do we vote? So if I vote for my tribe, and you see, as a politician, will always want to make you emotional. Once you become emotional, it's an easy target of control. So always all the politicians will remind you that there is a region called Western, there's a region called Central Kenya, there's a region called Coast or Northern Kenya or all that, to keep on putting you in the same box that we existed, to ensure we do not leave the box. Because when we leave the box, it is against them. Once I leave the box, I look back and realize, kumbe, I was locked in a box. So to ensure that we do not leave that box, keep reminding them. Like now, look at what is happening. Every now and then, you will hear the word Central Kenya. It's not by default, it's by design. They are creating a narrative that will hold you away from what is important. So, civic education, we have the right to participate. But the question is, have you looked at those pieces of legislation that are meant to enhance public participation? I think to date there is a draft in Parliament. But when you look at that draft, it looks like any other, those letters that are written to a lover without an actual concrete action. Why? Because public participation cannot be just as a tokenism within the process. It must be effective to the extent I am supposed to give an information that will change the decision. But if I cannot give an opinion that will make the decision, then it becomes, unfortunately, a tokenism. For instance, you find our budget process is very elaborate. And why our processes, by the way, they are very hard. It's because we are trying to run away from corruption. But the same system has become hard for the citizens to understand. So the only person who understands is the technocrats who is seated in parliament, who is seated in the treasury. So the budget, by the time you hear there is a public participation for budget, they have already balanced it. How do you ask me to participate in something that you've already balanced?
But then here comes the Generation Z, where we use tools like AI to break down these very difficult systems for us to understand. Same case 2 years ago during the finance bill protests. And this is a perfect example of youth, especially coming out to hold their leaders accountable. And this is a result of mistrust to begin with. And of course, we've seen very dire consequences of the same, not just money-wise. So could you talk to us a bit about the actual cost? Like, what are some of the consequences of mistrust, apart from the budget, apart from the money?
Life. When a life of a young man is cut short, not because of any other thing, but because of wanting to ask the right question. We are paying what we are paying as Kenyans, in most instances, not having a road, maybe not having water system, not having, generally those basic services. And then you end up losing someone's life. Today, we have a budget that is about 4.8 or so trillion. And the question is, who knows what that budget is doing? And the simple answer, except the technocrat and any other, no one knows. And as Kenyans, what we are paying for such a system that keeps us away from the actual conversation is we will never be an integrated society. We'll always be a society that has a boundary, regardless of what happens. So, every year, someone will die. Then we'll continue. Why? The bubble has not pricked. The day the bubble pricks, we might end up either, finishing our political systems or destroying everything for ourselves. So for us not to get to the path of destruction, then the question is, are the citizens ready to vote not based on their emotion, but based on their thinking? Like, who has the ability to provide service delivery, who has said what on what conversation. So are we ready to vote? But voting is not a love relationship where you're looking at, oh, is he handsome or something of
It's
that
very
sort.
logical.
It has to be very logical.
Yeah.
And we've kept and you see, once a tribe is mentioned, your ability to think disappears. Once a religion is mentioned, your ability to think disappears. Why? It attacks that feeling that you already know, and it keeps on being pricked. Today, when someone's tribe is mentioned, we all shrink back and become so small and start defending that concept of tribe. Yet, when you sit down and ask yourself, where did this thing come from? Colonial system, we still have the penal code and other laws that came thereafter. All of them are meant to control me, not to enhance the environment, not to make me a free agent of change. 2022, we went into election. Unfortunately, I sat down somewhere and Googled the names of people who are being mentioned as winners of MPs. Do you know what I found? Out of 141 members of parliament, I Googled their name. 70 of them had a criminal case. So if you have voted for a criminal, we have a pedophile in that parliament. We do have a murderer. We do have all types. So the question is then, as a citizen, what do you expect from someone who is not the best of you? Who doesn't represent the best of who you are, to be the person legislating, the person oversighting. And you see, in the current constitution, the most powerful entity is parliament. They're the ones who can make or destroy the budget. They're the ones who pass everything. And you see, the way it has been created, when you see ministries of the executive, the equivalent of it through committees exists in parliament. The mirror of it. And this mirror is meant to ensure this other one works. But because you've elected someone who became a billionaire by simple tenderpreneurship of 1.5 billion, so do we expect that person to ask the right question?
So you're calling on to citizens to know the people they're voting.
Yes.
And before you know the people you're voting for, I think it's also important, which is something that has come up in recent barazas, is that we need to know the role of our leaders. Before you put this person in place, do you know their personalities, their ideologies, and are they able to deliver in that exact role? So how would you recommend or suggest that a citizen goes about finding out about these things, especially a new time voter? We've had a lot of new people registering as first time voters, but perhaps where they're seated, they don't necessarily have the resources to find out more about their MP, their local MCA. No? What would you say to them?
I would say that, one thing, the value of learning, the Constitution is one of the documents you will find easily online. And the good thing is it uses the plain language. If you can, the good thing, TikTok is there and YouTube is there. You can record, you can share. And you see, unfortunately, Kenyans, be ready to pay a price to learn. We've kept on having conversation on the role of the citizenry or the citizens participating. But unfortunately, because you want to be paid to learn your own thing.
Exactly.
You want to be paid to learn your own rights. So if I have paid you, I will teach you what I want and I will take away what I want.
Exactly.
So we are dependent on someone to come to us. Why don't we go for it? This is our constitution. We gave it to ourselves. Good or not, it's unfortunate. It's ours. So how do we now go forward from that thinking of I do not know to a place where I know? A member of parliament, for instance, the most simplistic role, it is, I normally love to say this, they are the brokers. They're the ones who are brokering development. They're the ones who are brokering better environment. They're the ones who are brokering even safety. So imagine you've sent, like for instance, you want your child to be mentored, and you've sent that child to be mentored by someone who has ever raped. So what are you trying to tell that child? Go get raped. So don't elect someone whom you know has something. Elect someone whom you know has a value. And money in politics, like now, personally, I'm running, but I'm not ready to spend money so that I can buy something. Then tomorrow, what happens? I have bought the position. So after buying the position, what happens? And we are the generation of, if you went to primary school, the Kibaki era, and then joined 2010 or thereabout, we are the ones who were lied to by our parents. They told us, oh, so and so went to school, and that's why he's a pilot and he's rich and he's successful. Then after tumemaliza Mwakenya imebadilishwa. They have changed the conversation from so and so went to school to so and so knows so and so. So certain MP or certain person. So it is upon our parents, number one, stop lying to us.
And our leaders.
Yes. We are going to school not for a job. No. It's to get that knowledge. However we apply, it doesn't matter. Because I do not think most of us who are seated here are even doing anything to do with what they learned.
Are we?
By the way, we have only 20% who are doing what they learned at the university or thereabout. The rest are doing something else. So why don't we go into the system the same? Don't expect the outcome. Don't give me the outcome. Give me the inputs. Show me the inputs. Or if you vote for such, you're going to have such. But for us, we have thought of the outcome. Already you think you've talked about the outcome. So you want to do the orthodox. Take it back. From end to the beginning. Instead of, even mathematically, you're told, you work from what you know to what you don't know in mathematics formula. Now in Kenya, we we look for what we don't know so that we can get to where we know. So that mathematics must change. That formula must change. Do you know that member of parliament? What do you know about them? Can they stand up for your rights? Can they say no to corruption? Can they say no to manipulation of the system? That's number one. Once you know this person has ever stood for something in their life, then ask the next question. Do they have the capability? Because, the politicians, everyone will talk about, oh, we want to go to Singapore. Unfortunately, the concept used by Singapore is not the concept of concrete. It's not the walls they built. They built the thinking of the citizenry. Normally, the three components everyone will talk about is one, meritocracy. Do you have the merits to be in that position? Today, I am here maybe for having said something somewhere or for having known for certain advocacy. Why didn't you just pick another person and bring them here?
We had to look into you, yes.
So you needed something.
Yeah.
So you went for that person who had such. Even your audience are not here by accident. It's by design. Someone had to think through. So the same. Can we think through merit? Then honesty. That's the most basic aspect of life. Are you honest even with yourself?
I like that. I love the whole idea of electing from a point of knowledge, from a
Yes.
point of knowing. And you mentioned something about TikTok. And we had also earlier talked about being in this age of AI. Information is moving around a lot as much as we want knowledge. And the risk that this poses is a lot of misinformation, disinformation, deep fakes. And this can also contribute to either trusting the wrong sources or completely distrusting even the right sources. So, how can we curb this and how can we be more careful and tactical in terms of trusting the sources we're looking into?
The most unfortunate bit of the current situation is we have information everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
The information exists. But the question is, as you said, is it the right information? Are we consuming the right information? The simple way of asking yourself, are you consuming the right information, is, are you getting the right answers? Are you getting the right actions? Like, for instance, if yesterday you woke up at 6 and by 5 you're already tired and you want to sleep, then it means you are doing the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
So if then we keep on consuming information that is not giving the right path, then we are consuming the wrong information. And in Kenya, the most unfortunate bit, there is disinformation, there is misinformation, and there is even malinformation. Where the intention is wrong. You want to intentionally mislead. It's a misleading information. Our politicians, 70% of their time, they will spend in misleading, misinforming, malinforming. And the most unfortunate bit, you, the young person who has that voter's card, lacks 3 things that your mother has.
Enlighten us.
1, patience. How long do you think any one of you will stand in the queue to vote? How long? Uko na mpango mahali. So you expect to change the system. Patience.
Mm-hmm.
So your mom will be patient. That person who has been misinformed by politicians will be patient because they are holding on to the card that this is their tribe. But we who have the right information, okay, not patient. Then number 2, when you're on that line, what's the objective? Is the objective is we want to vote certain person out, or the objective is we are looking such a character? When we advertise for jobs, the job description, why is it that people don't just pick any other person who applies? Why is it that people are being sieved? Do you even understand that member of parliament, their CV? Where have they worked? Have they ever done something tangible in their life? Do you know them when it comes to work? Your mother will know 2 things. One thing about that person. They will know this is their tribe. But for you, you don't know if this person is your tribe. So you voting is, nile by whims. Lastly, these people who want to misinform us are vying. Are you vying? Or are we still talking? We are still in the talking conversation. Are young people, are you vying? So what are you vying for? Why are you vying? And now the most unfortunate bit, we want to vie using the same platform that these other politicians are using. You will not defeat them in their game. You have to develop your own game. Inform your community. Use that, the platform you've been given, chance to educate the community. Now, my main plan is to inform my community about their problems. You ask me, I will tell you, simple as how much has your CDF received and how much can you say this CDF has done 1, 2, 3. Like recently we were talking about out of Homa Bay issues, we're talking about marginalization. Yet when you sit down and look at the resources that are meant to equalize the country, you're like, okay, this is too much. Like my county, Marsabit County has gotten over 100 billion. Keep that money aside. There is something called equalization fund. Every constituency that were marginalized are getting at least over 100 million from that kitty. So and then you're like, okay, what's the problem? So the problem is not the resources that are not going to your county or your constituency. The problem is how that money is being spent. And let me tell you, we are protesting in Nairobi. We are doing everything in Nairobi. The problem is not in Nairobi.
The problem is in the grassroots.
It's on the grassroots.
So then that's a very good point you've brought out. So then how do we get this information to the grassroots? How do we inclusively engage people in the grassroots? When you say mother, I've thought of elderly people.
Yes.
I've thought of people who don't necessarily have the access to what the younger people today have access to.
Do you remember the Githeri man?
Yes, we do, right?
We need to bring out the Githeri men and women. Not to just vote, for them to understand that they are making a decision about our future. So how are we living? Again, certain narrative I would always say, you are leaving someone who has lived their life and they are left with bonus to make a decision for you. You know, life expectancy in Kenya, 55 to 60 something years old. So the people who are voting are that. So Wewe, the person who has hope in future, is not voting. But the one who has spent their life already is voting. So it is us to go back home.
Thank you.
Remember, we were being told Africa is being affected by the brain drain. Remember that conversation? Wale walifanya history. Now, our country is being affected by the brain drain. And that brain drain is not the brain drain that we are leaving our country. No. We've left the hooligans in the village to confuse our parents and ourselves to go up in Nairobi tunaongea. Personally, I decided, okay, let me go back home. From 2020, I decided, let me go back home. Why? I didn't go to school for Nairobi. I went to school for my people. Even part of my life, educational life, someone sponsored me. They sponsored me so that I can go back and make a difference in my community. We all do have a degree or that diploma or that master's. But what are we doing in our village is the question. Forget about what you are doing in terms of sending money. You might be sending the money, but that money is being spent in the wrong manner. You remember, we normally see the conversation of those who are abroad sending money home so that they can be built home. Wanakuja hapa hakuna nyumba, hakuna pesa. So they've lost money, they've lost time, and even they've lost that parent because, or that friend or that family, because you've created a mistrust. So to avoid that, why can't we go back every weekend? If you're working on Sunday, I don't think we have very few of us do work on Sunday or Saturdays. Why can't we create a moment of saying, okay, every month, just like the politician is visiting his constituency, we are visiting home with one purpose: inform our parents of our problems, not even of what they need to do. No, inform them of our of our problems. Tell them, do you know what is 1 billion like? Do you know you can step on 1 billion from Namanga to Moyale? Just give them that, imaginative, that can create a picture, mental picture. So that, we need to all to be mad. It is only few of us who are in Nairobi who are mad. But tuko chini, wako tu ile idha.
So turudi nyumbani, we build capacity in every citizen, basically.
Yes.
And we use that same capacity to build the trust. So as we wrap up, before I open the floor to some questions, I'd really like to understand for you, in your perspective, not as an aspiring member of parliament, not as a lawyer, as Maalim, what would you want to see in 2027 in terms of this trust being rebuilt and Kenyans finally being able to be satisfied, if possible, or be at ease in the sense that the system got us because we have rebuilt it?
Hope, please remind me to answer your question at the end. Before, allow me to say this. You know, the 2010 Constitution came when we were in pain. You know, it's like the sunlight after darkness. That sunlight sometimes gives people sunburn. We have a sunburn. Why? There are certain components in our constitution, we got it wrong. We borrowed some of the component from India, some of the component from Germany. But we didn't borrow everything for that component. We borrowed what felt good for us. For instance, in Kenya, we have head of state and head of government in one person, called president. In most of this country, that has independent commissions that are meant to protect the sovereignty. You know, normally, there are certain institutions that are meant to protect our sovereignty. Like, independent institutions are meant to protect our sovereignty. So they have their role, while the executive is meant to implement. Look at that. Now, the person who is meant to implement also has the role of protecting my sovereignty.
Food for thought.
The worker who is supposed to clean this on the street has also the responsibility of ensuring I wake up so that I can hold them accountable. So the orthodox or the paradox of the situation. So the day we wake up and say we cannot have head of state and head of government in the same person, then we've ticked. Why? Today, president, when they appoint commissioners of different entities, their thinking is they're appointing because they are the head of executive. But it's supposed to be the head of state. So you imagine the 13 constitutional commissions, the independent offices such as the police, such as the ODPP, all these are meant to be under head of state. While the ministers and the entities that are implementing are supposed to be head of executive. And that's why sometimes, unapataga, there is a problem. Head of government supposed to be equivalent to head of judiciary. The president of judiciary is supposed to be equivalent to the speaker of the National Assembly. These people are supposed to be equal. But unfortunately, because this other one has a role that is more to these other persons, he becomes a different human being. So he's the one who is supposed to do the road. And also he's the same person who is appointing the IG, who is supposed to arrest when he does something wrong. So, and that's why ministers behave the way they want. It's the same spoon you are using, unakula na ugali, unauma na ugali, na unauma nao pia mboga. Itakuwa safi kweli?
Acha tutafikiria hiyo sasa.
So lastly, coming to your answer to that part.
Yes.
What do we do as we head to 2027?
As of today, it's less than a year.
Yes. So what do we do? I think the answer is us before. Simple as this. Let's go back home and inform our people. You know, already hata hatuna kazi, sio? We don't have jobs. So can we make our job that we go back home, inform our people about what they deserve, their problem and what they deserve. You sit down with your mom and you tell them, do you know how much our county has received X amount? Do you know, they will go mad. And that's what we want. Anger. So that when they are going to vote, they are not looking at their tribe. They are looking at the value they get from that vote. You're looking at the amount of money. You tell them, imagine trusting someone 200 million, someone who has stolen 50 million. You are trusting them with 200 million.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine someone who has killed, you are trusting them with oversighting the police. Someone who has killed, someone who has raped. Make it as disgusting as that. Okay? Someone who has slapped you. Will you come to confess your sins to them? So that's where we want to be as a country. Let's inform our mothers and fathers. They didn't take you to school so that you become dumb. It's so that you can come back and inform them of what is right. And that's why a 27-year-old doctor or 30-year-old doctor will treat a 70-year-old doctor. Think of yourself as the doctors of our change.
Thank you. Thank you, Malim. Thank you for sharing your insights.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, for those watching us online, we do have a live audience. And from here, I will open up the floor to any questions. Malim and Malim mostly, will be more than happy to answer. So, anyone with any question? Okay, we have a couple.
All right.
I think we can just we can take all of them. We can take 2 questions, answer 2 questions, then go ahead. So when you get the microphone, please just state your name and what brings you to the People's Baraza. Then you could ask your question.
On our rights, on how we are going to oversee the 2027 elections. And now my question to our guest. There are people like us who have grown up watching our parents doing countless elections, yet those people they hope to be reinstated in those seats are not getting those positions. So our hope has died. There's no hope in the ballot again. Recently, I registered as a first-time voter, but introspectively, I have no urge to vote because the deterrence and the fear that has been instilled on us while we were growing up, we watch our parents queue in those dawns, being beaten by sunlight, suffering through the rains, and all those tragic conditions that come with voting. They wake up very early. They have hopes. They tell us that we are going to vote. Giving an example, they used to tell us we are going to vote for Baba. But by the time the results are out, the person they wanted to vote for has not gotten the seat. And then from that point of view, our hope in the ballot was diminished. And we have no hope left. Even as we head to 2027, there are people like me and 100 others outside there who are saying that this voter's card is just there so that I can be seen as a Kenyan, but I'll not take part in the election. How can our hope be reinstated back in the ballot? Thank you.
Good question. Good question.
I'm Pascal Local, and I've come to the People's Baraza mainly to give students representation, given that I'm a student leader in this great University of Nairobi. And my question to Malim is, we have identified and we have realized that trust is the issue in our institutions in Kenya. So my question is, as citizens of Kenya, do you think that we should maybe broaden our responsibility to also guarding our vote after voting? I'm giving an example of 2027. We're going to be having a civic responsibility of voting. Do you think it should extend to actually guarding our vote, given that you're also going to run for an elective position? Would you advise that our citizens should vote and also guard our vote, since we don't have trust in our institutions? Yeah, that is my question.
Okay, I think we can answer those two before we ask any more questions.
Thank you so much for those two wonderful and then, very hard questions.
Very thought-provoking.
Yes. Yes, just as you've put it, we are developing hopelessness on the ballot. Now, let me twist this. I don't know. I don't know if I'm supposed to use such an example on live conversation. Do you stop trying because you fail? Yeah? Do you stop trying because you failed? Or, for instance, let's use a situation of a land. You have a barren land. Do you stop planting because last season you haukuvuna? Do you stop? Do you stop waking up because yesterday you didn't find anything? When you think we are at the brink of hopelessness, then hapo ndo iko hope. The day you feel you've given up is the day the sun will shine again. So, as Kenyan, yes, we are losing hope on the ballot. Do you know why we are losing hope on the ballot? It is not because of that politician. It's because of ourselves. Number one, I want you to engage in the process of campaigning from this moment. Not as a beneficiary, but as the driver. Ask that question. Attack that conversation. Because your mom has not given up. And that's where I began. We began, for us, we do not have patience to wait in that line. But mom will have. But imagine the suffering of one day in comparison to the suffering of 5 years. Which one is more painful? Sometimes, losing the tooth, the milk tooth. You know how it was hard for us it to be plucked. After that, how do you normally feel? Relieved? So I want you to think of it from a perspective of, this is my life that I'm making a decision. It is do or die. Voting is the only key participatory, or is the only place where we are practicing our sovereignty. When you hear sovereignty belongs to the people, that is the only place. Other than protesting, other than public participation, that's the only key place where we can make decision that will matter to us. Okay. The person you wanted to vote for did not get. So the question you need to ask yourself, what are you doing wrong? If your neighbor has taken a bribe, who has the responsibility to inform them that this bribe is the price they pay for the next 5 years? For not getting water, for not getting road, for not getting better health care? It's our responsibility. Yes, you've taken the 5,000 or the 1,000 or that 500 shilling. One day I was moving around 2022, just on the eve of election. And I was coming from a neighboring constituency to our constituency. And then I find some young guys from my constituency. Naambia, bwana situpatia lift, twende. I'm like, okay, munafanya nini hapa? What are you doing here? And they told us that, oh, we're here because we've been transported from Moyale to come and vote here. Na tumepewa 10,000. Nikamwambia, then I will charge you 3,000 shillings for the transport. You have money. So I've charged 3,000 shillings. And they have no option, so they are paying. It is in the evening, already night. So they remain there. They have to find a place to sleep. While coming on the way, just before we got to Moyale town, I asked them, how much of that money are you left with? Of the 10,000. One, the person sitting next to me said, 4,000 after you've taken the 3,000. So I asked her, okay, so that 4,000, will it last you for the next 5 years? Because you've made a decision of 5 years with 10,000 shillings. So will it last you? He says, manze, hata haiwezi fika jaba ya wiki. Haiwezi fika nini? Jaba ya wiki. So meaning, after 1 week, you will need someone else to give them something. So let's create the perspective of what is on that ballot. People are running for that position of an MCA. MCA is the most paramount position in this country. We get the MCA position right, we'll get the MP position right. Why? They're the ones who are meant to make decision on our basic right. You know, Article 43 of the Constitution. On social and economic rights. Health, it is an MCA who makes the decision. You want to vote, jamaa, the noisemaker of your classroom, mukiwa high school, and you expect him to go and make the right decision. Number 2, your education. The basic education is at the beginning of it is the ECD. It is that MCA who is meant to make the decision for that child to get a proper introductory to education. It is that MCA that is meant to ensure there is water at your home. And you want to just vote certain hooligan somewhere. So that decision is very painful to be left to someone. If your mother has not given up on you for the last 30 or 40 years, why are you giving up on our country? Has our mothers given up on us? Just reflect on your life and how you've disturbed your mother. How you've given them the nightmares of them knowing they don't know where you are, what you're doing, or you failed. How much umepoteza pesa zao ngapi. Think about from that perspective. Let's not give up on our country. This is just the beginning. And our generation, you know, there is a guy called Frats Fanon. He kept on talking about generational mission. Trust you me. I'm sorry. I hope I'm not taking long.
We have like 2 minutes left. We should get to
1950s, our generation, the 1950s generation was to get us independence, including Tomboya leading the union, including Tomboya still taking other Kenyans to abroad to go and study so that they know how to run the system. Those who went to Mau Mau, those in business who ensured the Mau Mau had food, someone like Gama Pinto, who walked around on business people to ask for money so that he can give to that Mau Mau. That was their generational mission. And they were young, all of them. Tomboya, when he started the trade union, was in 20 years old, 1952. Number 2, 1980s and 70s, their generational mission was multi-party. And that's why, even on his deathbed, Raila will talk about multi-party system. And he will not talk about accountability. Why? His generational mission was that. 90s. Their generational mission was simple. Okay, how do we take away Moi? How do we take away such chronic system? And they did. But unfortunately, from 2003 to date, we have a country where the young do not know what is their generational mission. And it's simply because the people who are in advocacy, the people who are asking the right question, went into government. They went into government and left a vacuum. And that's why you find we are trying to hold things to hold on. Our generational mission, my brothers and sisters, is accountability. Accountability. Why? We have a constitution that you can hold other people accountable on it. So that is it for generational mission. Let me come shortly to his question, which was on, please remind me.
On trust.
On trust. How do you ensure that we'll trust that this thing will give us the result? When we slept last night, did we trust we will wake up in the morning? Did we trust? Did you know you will wake up in the morning? Life has so much of uncertainties. One of it is us voting. The uncertainty of our life is how we vote. It depends on our life, how our life will be. So you going away, you not voting because of a trust issue, then the most unfortunate bit is those people will mobilize the ones they want. And the ones they want will vote for that. Like, for instance, in my constituency, of over 70 voters, in 2022, only 28,000 people voted. Out of that 28,000 people, trust you me, those who have been transported into that constituency to vote are the majority. They have made a decision on our behalf and they have left to other constituencies or to other areas. So the most unfortunate bit now is your mothers or your elderly parents are the ones who will make the decision for you. It is very painful to leave that decision on someone who might not see the next electoral cycle. It's for you to make the decision. And the only way of making the right decision is what you're mad about, what you're angry about, take it home. Tell them, this has not happened. So that it's no longer the conversation of the few. It becomes the conversation of the majority. And this majority are the farmers in that family. Like, for instance, when I want the livestock farmers, I'm a livestock keeper. So if I want to make them mad, do you know what livestock gives us as a country versus what crop farming gives us is equivalent? But where do we invest? Where do we value add? So if I want to get them mad, is like, wewe unachunga mbuzi unauza shilingi 3,000, broka anachukua anaenda anafika nayo Athi River anauza 7,000. Yeah, the only price he has paid for is only 200 shillings of transporting one goat. Wewe mwenye umetake care of that goat 2 years, 3 years, only got 3,000 Kenya shillings. So let's talk about the inequality that exists within our economic systems so that you can make this voter mad about the issues. Let's make this, like, for instance, the certain MP, normally, I see him on the right trajectory. When he's in any committee, you'll ask, what is in for my constituency for me to sit here? Can we vote people who will ask the question for our constituency? By the way, if today the person in your MP asks the right question for their constituency, and I ask the right question, we'll have a better country.
So know your people, make the votes, and show up.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Malim.
Thank you.
So as we bring this conversation to an end, for me, and I'm sure for all of us who've been here, we understand that mistrust is expensive. Not just the money, but the peace, and especially the public confidence, which is a great segue to our next conversation. Stick around. We'll be going on a short break as we transition into Future Yetu, kesho ni sisi. Thank you.
Kukosa kutokea kupiga kura inatukostaje?
Inatupatia kupatia bad leaders opportunities za kuendelea kuturule.
Kukosa kupiga kura inakuwa imetudeny pia opportunity ya kujiexpress.
Inafanya tunakuwa manipulated by political leaders.
Mimi sikupiga kura, sikupiga kura like, na sikupiga kwa sababu nilikuwa najua kupiga kura ni kitu ya udu. Lakini ni maana hiyo ilikuwa poor way of thinking.
Nilipiga kura juu nilikuwa natafuta kiongozi bora mwenye ataangalia maslahi ya sisi kama vijana na maslahi pia watu wengine wote.
Na votingi but sijaipata mwenye, yani na vote lakini hainisaidii.
Unajua kulikuwa na huge number ya youth wenye wako vote last election.
Nisipo vote, all politicians don't make a decision for me and they won't be good obviously. Maiti wanafaa kujua ni important kuvote ndio tusitumike vibaya. Mtu asikuje anawapatia handouts and then you think that sasa yeye ni a good leader. So mnafaa kuvote mtoe zile bad roots.
Mavijana wapendanga representation yao wenyewe. So me I'm sure kama percentage kubwa young people ingevote ama ikivoti round ni kumaanisha hata representation ya parliament ama hizo seats itakuwa ya youth.
Democracy is a government of the people, for the people, by the people. It is the people who decide, one, during elections, and two, in every particular bill that is presented to Parliament, there is an opportunity for public participation, and that is one place where we have had a problem as a country.
Kwa nini vitu zinaenda wrong? Na feel tuna elect kabla tu point. Una get?
How do we shift our national political culture away from short-term survival tactics?
Vijana wakikosa do ina lead to many things, including crime, drug abuse. Most of them pia wanafall kwa mental illness.
Sisi kama youth pige kura yenyewe tuone maendeleo, makazi zifunguke, unaona. Kila mtu ako tu busy. Nipo nikiangalia ule mwenzangu akienda job, pia mimi nikienda fanya 1 2 3 huko hivi down. Crime pia itaisha. Vitu kama hizo na tutamaliza.
Issue yenye inani frustrate hapa home ni issue ya maji. Dandora tukupanga na issue ya maji but sasa inakuwa too much. Watoto tuko na watoto wengi huku but hakuna maji. So hakuna usafi na without maji kila kitu ni chaotic. Watu wanakuwa wagonjwa, tumesha address kwa MCAs, MPs but nothing is changing.
Mheshimiwa the moment amepigiwa kura akuwa the right person, atasaidia vijana wapate kazi, si handouts. Itakuwa poa sana. Vijana wetu wengi wapotelea kwa wizi hapa chini. Unapata mtu ana hope ya maisha inabidi aingilie kwa wizi.
Wewe chagule leader mwenye uko sure atakufanyia kitu fulani. Eri uchagule mwenye akupatia handouts. But ule mwenye uko sure ukienda kwa ofisi yake umwambie leo sijakula lunch, hata akupatie lunch, anakuambia enda pale lima utatoa lunch pale.
Media is a very important aspect to reach wase wengi. Every move, every civil education tuna make, tunanipot kirecord na tufungue online platforms to post everything and every information ikuwe shared online. Na kwa sababu hapo ndio may think youth wengi tunaweza engage now.
Good morning once again, and welcome to our second conversation of today. To start off, I'd like to pose a thought. The youth, us, we are often referred to as leaders of tomorrow. But what happens when we're already living in the consequences and decisions of leaders of today? So, why then should our leadership and our participation in the same be postponed? Why do we have to wait? I am being joined by Chibeka Matara, a youth leader herself, currently chairing the KANU Youth Congress. Karibu sana, Chibeka.
Thank you.
Karibu. In this topic, we are going to delve into the future we're building as Kenya, as citizens, and where the youth appear in this blueprint. So I'd love to hear more about what you do and what draws you to leadership and youth participation, especially.
My name is Chibeka Matara. A student at the University of Nairobi, currently studying Master of Research in Public Policy. I chair the KANU Youth Congress, so that means I am a member of the KANU party. For me, this topic is very close to my heart. We are the leaders of today, essentially, because it has been postponed for far too long. And when leaders that are already in office or holding power keep insisting that the young people are the leaders of tomorrow, I mean, tomorrow is 20th of August, 2026. And because there's no election tomorrow to have us hold these leadership positions, it only comes as close as August 10th of 2027. And for me, it is a hope that I have in me that the young people will come out in large numbers to elect youthful leaders, and for these youthful leaders to actually come out as well and vie for these positions. Of course, it's not easy. As someone who has lived the experience of being in politics itself, it is quite a challenge, and we need absolute support from our fellow young fellows. We make up a large percentage of the population of this country and the world at large. We have the numbers. I hear we are 15 million. I don't know if that is verified, but 15 million young people, 15 million electorate. That is a great number. That is a huge number that, if they wanted, would have their own president, would have the election be as they wish.
So what I'm getting from your own hopes are that we have the power as youth to make decisions and to participate. So in your capacity, what do you think are some of the biggest concerns that would make us show up and participate in this big decision?
The biggest concerns, of course, would be the life that we're experiencing. I have a background in political science. I graduated from this university in 2024. And until date, I am not formally employed. And I think that is the reality of many other young people. We simply cannot afford life. We are not where we want to be. I think that is motivation enough for you to come out and decide what the future you want looks like. And I think we are very disengaged as young people. And I would say we are unaccounted for. I mean, we are 15 million, yes. But where exactly do we find this 15 million? I mean, of course, we are online, we are protesting, we're doing everything else, but we're not organized enough to be treated as a block. Like, I would want to run for office come 2027. I would want to pride myself of a young population that would have my back. But where do I get these 15 million people? I mean, in practicality, our country's politics is organized either in political parties or in tribal lines which I don't think we want to hear more of that, but it is a reality that we're living in. As we have said in the previous conversation, we hear more of Western Kenya, Central Kenya, Mount Kenya. It is because in practicality, that those are voting blocks. Like the people that wish to run for president would easily go to Mount Kenya and say, I have secured 5.7 million votes from Mount Kenya. As a young person, or as young people who want to run and don't want to dwell on the fact that politics is organized in tribes, we want to pride ourselves in the 15 million young people or the large population within a constituency that is of young people. But how do I access this large population of young people at once? We are not in political parties. We are not in civil societies. Like, we are disengaged. We are 15 million, but we are unaccounted for. We are not 15 million block.
I see.
Yeah.
I see.
And I think that is one of the challenges that would be posed to young aspirants. And we might end up in the same cycle that we're trying to escape simply because we're not organized. But in the aspect of motivation, I think everyone is living in the reality that as young people, we are economically disenfranchised. And I think that is one of the biggest motivations that would take a young person out to vote on August 10th of 2027. And I think that should be motivation enough for you to stay there from 5 a.m. up until when they announce the president in your constituency.
Oh, okay. So in spite of that, ideally, what would this representation look like? How would you like the youth to be more represented in these spaces, to ensure their voices are in the right rooms, the decisions, they're part of the decision making, like practically speaking, because we are a huge population. So how would that look like for you?
For me, the best way we organize in politics as a country, that has to be in political parties. And I think as someone who is a member of a political party, I can attest to the fact that it is very difficult to lure young people to join political parties because I think there's a stereotype around political parties being individual owned or like buses to a specific situation and then it ends there. But that's the only way, as of now, that's the only way I see young people can be organized enough to sit at tables that discuss meaningful conversations that involve them ideally. I would say, like in this instance, since all of us, Gen Z uprising and stuff, we have recently been involved in politics since the Finance Bill of 2024. And I can tell you for sure that conversation would have been different if young people were in political parties. The young people in the ruling party as of now are our biggest failures because they sit closest to power. They sit closest to power and they only are used to rubber stamp the decisions that are made from the top. As an experience myself, when the Finance Bill 2024 was being discussed, we discussed that as the young people of our party. And it was then that I had information about what the Finance Bill was about. And we communicated with our members of parliament that were elected on our party. And we told them, you're going to say no. So you see, I have a group of people that is accountable to me and my political party. So if as a party we have said we do not want the Finance Bill 2024 to proceed, then it is their mandate to listen to the people that are within their community that put them there. If, let's say, for example, the 15 million young people that were out there had that backing of, I have 20 MPs that were elected on my party, I have 15 MPs that were elected in this other party that I belong to, I think that conversation would have been different. if the ruling party, young people, decided that they're going to hold accountable each and every of their member of parliament, I mean, we would be living in a different reality.
I see. I want to bring in the perspective where I know you, Chibeka, right? I know you. I know you're in this party. And perhaps I'm not in a position to join a political party for one reason or the other. So how then do you create that accessibility with other youth to be able to connect with you, to be able to connect with the youth who sit near the power and hold the people with the power accountable? How can we do that?
I don't think that's possible.
Okay.
I genuinely don't think that's possible. I have been witness to this in different other countries. Young people are engaged politically in terms of being organized within a political party. It is difficult. That's why I'm saying the 15 million people are everywhere. Like, we have 15 million people, but can I call 15 million people out here and say, let's move to this direction? Everyone is everywhere. And I don't think our strength lies in being organized. Our strength lies in being unified to a particular cause. So I do not think there's any other way out apart from political parties as of now, and maybe civil society, which doesn't come as close to power or to decision-making tables as political parties get. I don't think we can escape the fact that we need to be organized in a particular manner. And the most recognized manner in this scenario is being in political parties.
I see.
There are many political parties. There are 90 plus political parties as of now. I don't think as young people, we should be having excuses of, I don't like this one, I don't like this one, or I don't like the other one. They're 90. They're above 90. I mean, pick what resonates with you. Pick the one that's ideology matches yours. As in, there's no other way out. And I'm telling you, if we are organized in political parties, we can have our way. We can have our way close to influencing the power that be.
Okay. Thank you for that. I want to take us back to a previous sentiment shared on our conversation with Maalim. And the whole idea was that we are not, as youth, yes, we're youth today, but we're not youth in a few years, right?
And that's crazy.
Exactly. And the people who fought for our independence, for our constitution, were youth back then. And now they're the people in leadership. But clearly, Kenyan politics has remained focused on very short-term goals. We're not thinking of, okay, then who's the youth in 10 years to come? Who's the youth in 20 years to come? And my question here is, how then can we shift that mindset of, I'm not voting for today. My vote does not end today. Yes, it's a 5-year vote. It's a 5-year decision. But am I thinking of the next generation? Am I building capacity for the next generation? How can we shift that mindset from short-term politics to long-term politics for our future?
I think the short term will eventually influence the long term. So even without thinking of the next 10, 20 years, you can think in the next 5 years. And it would still be appropriate in another 10, 15 years. Because in 2032, which would be the next election period after this one, I, for instance, would be 30. And I think most of us in this room will be either towards 30 or exiting the youth bracket. So we cannot leave anything to chance. We cannot assume that I will not vote for so-and-so, or I will not come out to vote in the next election period because there's another election period. Like, as I've mentioned, I think, I'm unemployed. I don't know if everyone or most of us in this room are unemployed. But you can imagine me living 5 years, I voted in the previous election, living 5 years as an employed young person, and another 5 years as an unemployed young person simply because I'm disengaged, or I didn't feel like coming out, or I didn't feel like my decision on that day would be a long-term decision, or so to say. And I want to highly encourage young people to not leave anything to chance. You see, when you decide not to vote, you're leaving stuff to chance. Like, it can be this one, it can be that one, and it could be anything they believe in that would have to work. But what do I believe in? What do I want for the next 5 years? Even not necessarily for everyone as a whole, but what do I want for myself? I mean, I want to be employed. I want to live a comfortable life. I don't want to be economically disenfranchised as I have been before. So that should be motivation enough for me to come out and vote, not necessarily to think about the long term. And in that same breath, we as young people should stop being an inconsequential opposition. And I think within the realities of politics, it could go either way. I mean, most of us here are now either divided in 2-term, 1-term, or the other person, which is worse, that there's no term. I don't feel like voting, or I don't trust that voting means anything. We either choose to make it work or make it work, because an election will happen, a winner will be announced, a government will be formed. Where will you be? Where will we be as the young people of this country? And as I've mentioned, it is high time we stop being an inconsequential opposition, because as of now, most of us are either anti-government or for government. If you're anti-government, you bear more responsibility to validate why I am anti-government and what I wish for the alternative to be. Like, if you're in government, you bear most of the responsibility, because you're 2-term or you're in government, but you're still a young person. You would understand the plight of young people better than anyone in the ruling party or anyone in the government, simply because we're living in the same realities. If I graduated with you in 2024, I mean, you're in my graduation picture, you were absorbed by this government simply because you are allied to them. And when I discuss serious matters with you, you want to dismiss them on the account of, yeah, the government is working, or like, give us time. It's simply unfair for you to not see the plight of young people whilst you understand the realities that people are living in. So I think generally all of us need to, I don't want to imagine that there's someone that's a non-voter, or like anyone who's not registered at this point, or anyone who feels like it's not useful for them to vote come the next election. As young people, we are the majority population, we are the majority electorate, and you don't have the right to complain if you don't go out to the polls, ideally.
Okay, powerful. I want us to now focus on this crop of young Kenyans who are politically aware, are politically involved fully, and they're committed to making it to those lines next year, but they're exhausted. Those repeated empty promises, the disappointments, how things keep turning out in this country, they're genuinely exhausted. Would you then describe this as some form of political apathy? And what would you say is contributing to this?
I can tell you that I'm exhausted myself. It's not an easy thing, especially as someone who is involved, aware. It's not easy. And the fact that I look back and I don't see 15 million Kenyans, young people, it's exhausting. And this is what happens in the realities of politics. I will keep trying. I will keep singing. I will be the loudest among the population. But it's exhausting, and it gets to a point where most young people look back and realize that probably it's not worth the fight because they don't have support. And that's why I'm telling young people that they have no business being in the opposition if they're inconsequential. You have to engage. We don't have an option. You have to participate, because I'm not fighting for myself. I'm fighting for young people. I'm fighting for a better life for myself that, of course, ideally extends to the young people. So I don't think we have an excuse to political apathy, because things will still happen. There'll still be a government in office. There'll still be a president. And whether you like it or not, whether you engage or not, they will still do as they wish if you are not there to say, we can work with you, we can collaborate with you. This is what we want to happen. Can we please try this other option? I can tell you for sure that we are not a broke country. It's just that everything is mismanaged. If you see the sitting government go to the lengths of visiting Oloitoktok or the farthest ends of this country with crazy amounts of budgets, it's choppers, it's fuel for Prados, it's everything. It's a whole convoy. And we have nothing to say about that. If you're engaged, if you're not engaged, if that's how they want to carry their business, it's the same thing that they will do. But there's a different instance where we are a consequential opposition and say, can we work alternatively? There's no need for you to carry this budget and go somewhere to gaslight people to believe that you're working or stuff is happening. Can we then, in the alternative, say we contract a few young people within that municipality or within that constituency and say, get us voter sentiments or do research? I mean, it's give and take. As young people, we don't have an option but to collaborate with any government that is in power. We can just say, I'm anti-government, but a lot can happen.
Collaborate?
You see, a lot can happen. I mean, come 2027, there'll be a winner, there'll be a loser. There'll be a sitting government, there'll be an opposition. It is pointless for me to sit in the opposition if the only thing I bring to the opposition is Ruto must go. Or I don't feel like Ruto is heading to the right direction. No, it is my job as a young person. It is your job as a young person to say, I did not agree, or maybe.
So what can we do? How can we
How
collaborate?
can we move forward?
Exactly.
Because there's a sitting government and the 5 years will pass either way.
Yes.
So it is better for us to be a consequential opposition and say, we are going to collaborate with the government that is currently ongoing and say, this is the alternative, and put pressure within that government rather than just be disengaged and say, I don't feel like it.
Now, just to break the ice a little bit, just a little bit, I see a future where youth are engaged, where youth are making decisions and youth are politically motivated. So let's build a blueprint, okay? We're getting into a quick fire session.
Okay.
I will mention an area and you'll tell me what you would like to see change in the future. This is us building a blueprint. Okay. So quickly, employment.
Oh, man. It's a difficult thing to crack in a short period of time. I think it's something that has to be built up from year 1, year 2, year 3.
So what would you like to see?
I would like to see people transitioning from education to employment. And I would like to see that being a deliberate move from the system, not just because I think it's painful to spend money on education in the hope that I'm going to get employment or make something out of it and then just come out here and yeah.
Okay. Healthcare.
I think our taxes need to work for us. Simple as that.
Gender equality.
That's a tricky one, but I think we all have a role to play in gender equality being realized. I will take, for example, the instance in leadership. The Constitution provides everything for us to be like on the same levels as all genders. And it's a matter of the community, it's a matter of the society accepting that all gender is equal and to accord the same opportunities for a man and a woman.
And how about inclusivity?
I think it falls under the same spectrum because it's provided for in the law, but it's society that needs to accept that all of us can work together despite of any differences within one or the other person, marginalized communities and stuff like that. I think it's a societal situation rather than anything else.
Okay. Okay. So, of course, there are many other areas we could look into, but I'm particularly interested in what perhaps like a practical example of something you feel being involved politically, being in it literally, you've been able to advocate for or advance, and you can actually see the change, something that can motivate even other youth to take part the way you do.
Gosh, I think number one, we don't have an option. Like, as we have just said, it's exhausting to even think about another election period where things remain the same. It's going to be extremely painful to experience another 5 years that look like this one. So I don't think we have an option. So for myself, within political parties, I can tell you that political parties or young people within political parties are not supposed to be in political parties to rubber stamp any decision. It is there that you need to carve your voice. It is there that you need to demand that people listen to the young people, even just within a small community that maybe you're privy to. And I think for myself, I have been able to be known within my political party as someone that is stern and someone that stands their ground. And I think it is something that I have been able to influence within other young political leaders within political parties. For instance, when my party leader decided to shake hands with the president, we were not consulted as young people, and we did not agree. That did not sit well with us, because as a young person, I understand the plight of young people within this period that this president has been in office. So when my party leader moved without consulting us, we said,
you held
no.
them accountable.
Yeah. We questioned, we dissociated openly. And I think that is one thing I would love to leave with the young people, because I am encouraging you to join political parties so that you're able to influence decisions within powers that be. And as you're joining these political parties, you're not supposed to be a yes person, or like you're not supposed to just agree with senior party officials or like party leaders and stuff. You are there to make your voice known. You're there to make your decision within a particular decision count. So I think we should be motivated to join political parties, and we should be motivated to speak out and be stand on the grounds that you stand. Yeah.
Okay. Right before I open up the floor to some questions, now that we've had this conversation and you will continue doing the work you do, what do you want anyone in this room or someone watching online to walk away with or to perceive when they hear Kesho ni Sisi?
I think ownership. Because Kesho ni Sisi, don't even look at it as a tomorrow that is further than tomorrow, like the actual tomorrow. Don't look at it as 5 years, don't look at it as 10 years. It is in literal terms as soon as possible. And this is what I'm telling you. We need to own this future that we keep saying is ours. We need to be fully involved in shaping this future that we want. Because as a young person, I know what I want in the next 5 years. I know what I want the next government to look like. I know what I want the next government to be advocating for. So it beats the purpose for me to say Kesho ni Sisi if I am far away from what is happening, if I am far away from what it looks like. So I think for me, it is ownership. Be as close as possible to influence decisions and to influence matters that are going on in the government. And just as I've said, the easiest way to do that, or the closest to get to that, is to be organized and to be organized in political parties.
Or to be organized in the People's Baraza. So, any questions from our audience? We're open to answering a few before we officially close today's session. Eric?
My name is Fidel. Fidel Castro. I'm also a student leader at the University
Please
of
raise your
Nairobi.
voice, Fidel.
I need to raise my voice.
Yes, please.
So I'm saying that my question is about trust. You've mentioned that when your party leader shook hands with the president, you as the youths were not consulted, and therefore you were not sitting well with the decision. But as much as you protested you dissociated, the decision stood firm. That is because the party's ideas supersede your individual ideas. So how sure are we that if the youth leaders that are also there in your seat can guarantee that the decisions that we are making as youths can be heard? That is the first. The second is the issue of trust also. You mentioned that you have your individual thoughts, which you stand for, and the values. But again, my question is, we've seen in the past youths or people who we saw as people who are standing with the youths divert. For example, we've had the likes of Casmuel or Morara, who, when there were the 2024 finance protests, they stood with us and we saw them as people who will advocate for rights. But immediately they got to the top there, they changed. So how can you guarantee that what we stand for as youth we can get? Thank you.
Can we have the next question, please? I think there's a question right here in the middle from Eric.
My name is Eric. My name is Eric. I believe I have. Thank you for welcoming me to the Baraza, to the People's Baraza. I don't really have a question per se, but more of a comment, because I believe I have more to contribute in the conversation around mistrust, when it comes to our institutions, because this is a really big problem. Most of the times when we oftenly talk about democracy, we oftenly talk about voting, we talk about parliament, we talk about court sessions, we talk about political leadership, but we oftenly fail to mention the fundamental aspect of democracy, which is trust. So uh, when it comes to trust, we believe that we should believe in our institutions, because we have institutions that are meant to serve us, represent us, and protect us. Yeah. When an individual is taken to court, for example, whether they are powerful, whether they are powerless, whether they have finances or not, we expect that based on evidence and law that they will get justice, But if we get the perception that if an individual has connection or finances, they can influence outcomes from the judiciary. So if the public get this kind of perception, then they'll lack trust in that institution. Yeah. When I'm taken to the police station, I expect the police to uphold my rights. Yeah. I don't expect that I'll lose my life, because that is a right given to me in the Constitution. Yeah. So when we talk about democracy, we often fail to mention that bit of trust, because when we lack trust, democracy becomes fragile, and people resort to other means of, they find solutions in sort of cocoons that make them feel comfortable, like tribal cocoons, for example. People will start having this idea that if we go to our ethnic background, we are going to be safe. It creates the perception, because of, so that is the price of trust, So we need to have institutions which the people can believe in. And I'll give an example of a culture that has become common in Kenya. Like, for example, mob justice. Because people lack trust in the National Police Service, people have resorted to mob justice. They're taking justice in their own hands because they don't trust our National Police Service. They don't trust our judiciary. And when you participate in mob justice, you're infringing upon someone else's right, So it's infringing upon my right and upon your right. And for the longest, tribe has been used as as a weapon, So tribe will, the issue of tribalism will only be cultivated more and more if we continue in our mistrust in the system. So we need a system that we can trust in and believe in, So the first assignment, okay, should I continue? Am I speaking too much?
You could
It's
wrap
okay.
it up. Yeah.
Because mine goes beyond, it's way beyond a question. It's more of a comment. It's a contribution to the People's Baraza. Yeah. So when it comes to democracy, the first thing is to unite the people. We should not view our tribes as walls between us. We should stop this weaponization of our tribes. Instead, we should see it as a building block, because this is my personal view of tribe. I view it as many roots, and the tree remains one. Many roots, one tree. Because I'm currently working on an anti-tribalism campaign. When the Gen Zs came out during the 2024 finance bill protest, it was some form of awakening amongst the youth. They said they are tribeless because they went beyond their ethnic identities. So we need to foster a stronger national identity, and that tribe is Kenya, because we now have this, we need a stronger sense of nationalism. Yeah. And so we need to amplify our campaign, not only as youths, but every single Kenyan. We must amplify the campaign against tribalism. Because through tribalism is where we are getting all these problems we're getting of corruption and whatnots. And one of the reasons democracy fails is because the average voter does not know what to base their vote on. Yeah, my name is Eric Kibet Mutai. Yeah, I'm a Kalenjin. But, you know, I should not vote for any individual based on their ethnic identity. I should vote for any individual based on issues that I'm facing as a person or we are facing as a country. Yeah, and so separating this political ethnic mobilization is going to be a positive thing in our country. Yeah, because now we are heading to kesho ni sisi, isn't it so? We must understand that democracy is progressive, and we cannot progress as a country if we still hold this mistrust that we still have, you know, along ethnic divides, along religious divides. We need to come together as a nation because this is now our home, you know.
Yeah.
Should I still continue?
I think we got the
I feel
point.
like I'm talking too much.
I think we got the point. Thank you.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I feel like I have a lot to contribute towards this conversation of, you know, democracy, national unity and cohesion amongst the people, because we need to speak up as a people.
Exactly.
And more youth, by the way, are in the conversation of politics, in the conversation of democracy. Before 2024 protest, finance bill protest, yeah, most people were not in the conversation of politics. You know, even we have the statistics that most youths did not vote in 2022. Now we are yet; it still remains a litmus test for 2027 as to whether youths will turn out in large numbers. You know,
Eric, I think I can say something in the line of what you're trying to get to. To be honest, there's a very thin line between our current reality and what we want. There's a thin line. And if we do not participate in shaping what we want, then the other option is to stay in the current reality. So the other alternative of tribal organization, as I've said, could be political parties. So then if I want to, I mean, politics is a game of numbers. If I need to get 10 million people so that I am president, I need to constantly do the math of how I'm getting 10 million people. So if we are not comfortable with the current reality of the fact that I can easily organize by counting Mount Kenya as 5.7 and Nyanza as 3.1 and any other place as a particular population, if that does not sit well with us, then we have to participate in creating what we want. The other question that was asked was also
actually, in the interest of time, Fidel, do you mind getting your question answered by Chibeka later? Appreciate it. So please, Chibeka, just give us a parting shot with the final piece of motivation to everyone in this room, everyone watching online, and the youth in Kenya in general.
That tomorrow that they have sung to us for over 60 years, it's now. And you do not have much time as a young person or within the youth bracket in this country. You only get 18 to 35. And that's about 2-3 election cycles. If we do not participate in creating the future that we want, then we have no business complaining every other election cycle. We don't have an option but to engage. We don't have an option but to participate. And I can tell you for sure, if what you want as an individual or what you want as a young person in this country, if what you want for this nation is not motivation enough for you to participate then we are absolutely lost. The next general election can go either way. There has to be a winner, there has to be a loser. There's so many instances. The president and the National Assembly can be from two different majorities, if you know what that means. But as young people of this country that don't actually have much time being young, we have to manage what we get come 2027. We have to either be aware that it is 15 million of us against the sitting government, so then that sitting government goes home and we work with whoever we want to work with. Or if our 15 million is not strong enough, then we need to find a way of how we are going to work with the government that will proceed, so that we don't waste our youth complaining, so that we don't waste our youth whining and protesting and carrying sufurias on our heads. It is either we work towards being that future or be comfortable for the rest of our lives. So we don't have an option. I want young people to register as voters, because if you don't vote, then you're betraying the nation at large. You're betraying yourself. You're betraying the efforts of young people that are out there struggling and risking their lives trying to get this message across the country. You're betraying the many young people that we lost trying to advocate for a better future. I think we all need to be registered, and the 15 million needs to be accounted for in a particular place. So it is either you join political parties or find a way of organizing yourselves so that when we are looking for 15 million young Kenyans, we know where to go. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much, Chibeka. And thank you to everyone who has joined us from morning till now. You've been an amazing audience. And I have been your host, Hope Nabalayo. Please continue contributing to the conversations. You can find the People's Baraza across Somaso Africa's social media handles. Leave a comment, share with a friend, and do contribute to civic participation. It is your right. It is your responsibility. Until next time.
Hii swala ambayo inaitwa elimu ya uraia inatusaidiaje kama wananchi? All sovereign power belongs to the people of Kenya. So for us to exercise our sovereignty, for us to participate the way this constitution contemplates, we must have some rudimentary civic knowledge.
Ukitizama kwa maoneo ya ukaribu, wengi hawafahamu kwa nini wapige kura. Wengi wanasema nipige kura inisaidie na nini? Kwa upande wangu kama mimi, ninaamini ya kwamba hawaelewi umuhimu wa kura. Sisi tunasema kura ni silaha.
Wacha kila mtu apate kufaidika na uongozi ambao unafanyika katika nchi yetu ya Kenya.
Sisi wenyewe pia tuko chini, tunakuanga na problem. Juu mtu akishakuwa elected na mwambie Utini, unajua wewe ni mtu wetu. Sasa pia sisi tuna expect anifanyie favor. Ile kitu inatuletea shida kabisa, hatujui kazi ya viongozi wetu. Unakuta mtu anasema ati huyu MP atusaidii tukiwa na matanga. Unamwambia kazi ya MP ni kusaidia watu wakiwa na matanga. Hiyo si kazi yake.
Hao viongozi wamekuwa na tabia ya kwamba mahali watu wamekusanyika wanakuwa wa kwanza kupinga vikao kama hivyo. maana wao kiwao wanafikiri kwamba vikao kama hivyo vya bunge la wananchi ama vikao kama ya namna hiyo ni vikao vya kuwapiga tu.
Politicians or leaders take advantage mostly of the poor and vulnerable in the society to lure them into voting them. We are as useful to the politicians as our living conditions. So if we are going to vote in someone because he or she has given us handouts, it only encourages them to keep us where we are and not ensure that we have income generating activities or better our lives.
I believe information sharing is powerful, and we learn daily. And social media being a powerful tool also, it is important we cascade the information that we get from this kind of platforms to other people through social media.
Manpower. Power. IBC should change its policies, sababu ukiangalia kama saizi wa Kenya ama dunia mzima watu washatoka katika ile analog system.
Today, when we are talking about the political space, we can only think about the infiltration of goons into the political space, our politics being people-centered rather than issue-based.
Going back, I'll be able to also educate some other people, especially the young men. So I think from here, most of us will be able to get time, tell them, guys, election is all about this, choosing good leaders, recalling them whenever they don't meet the standards.
Usichukue madada zako, mandugu zako, marelative wako weke kwa ofisi, alafu sasa mimi mwenyewe mwingine akitaka kitu anazuiliwa. So nakuomba ukiingia pale, angalia kila kabila.
Piga makofi mazuri. Asanteni sana.
Nikisema the word democracy, maybe nini nakuja kwa akili yako? Ukisikia tu democracy, nini nakuja kwa akili yako?
Nikisikia about the word democracy na think about uongozi inayohusisha watu.
Siasa ni wanasiasa peke yake ama ni kila mtu? Hiyo ndio tutakuja tujadiliane hapo.
Kila mtu lazima ajumuishwe katika hafla ya uongozi. Watu watajumuishwa namna gani? Hilo ndo swali tena. Watu wanapewa nafasi kupiga kura. Iko watu ambayo system inawaweka wasipige kura hizi. Ile kizungu inaitwa kuna barriers zenye ziko ambayo inazuia hao watu kupiga kura.
Tunakuanga na kikundi ya walemavu. Tunapatananga pale kwa billion. Na by the way hawa mama tunaongeanga vitu mingi sana tukipatana. Kuna wengine wajai vote. Na mtu akona kura na amepitisha miaka sana. Hajai vote. Kwa nini? Kwenda kutoka hiyo nyumba aende apange line inakuanga shida. Unaona?
Pengine sasa kura ingekuwa inapigwa kwenye hii room na mtu ako na wheelchair, angefika hapa namna gani? Unapata yule ambaye hasikii hata hakupata hiyo information, ajui ni nini kinaendelea, angefika hapa namna gani? Na hata akifika hapa ni nani atamuelezea? So unapata hata vituo vyetu ya kupiga kura, unapata hakuna zile signages ya kusaidia wale ambao hawasikii.
Na sasa wale wanataka kuchagulia, ukienda kuambia hata mtu aitishie huyo mtu mama gari aende avote. Unaona mtu anaenda hivi. Sasa usi mtu anakaa. Sasa hata hiyo kitu watu nao tunachaguanga waangaliange wa mama kama.
Right.
The inclusion of every person in the society, in politics, in leadership, and in decision making. Wewe ambaye umeketi mahali hapa, unajihisi kwamba umejumuishwa?
Nasema kitu naweza sema kiongozi anielewe ni ile time anaweka hizi public participation, isikuwe ati kama huku nichagua ufai kukuja hapo. Sawa, hiyo ni kitu ya kwanza, because unakuta saa hii inakuwaga ni kama ni beef. Unachaguliwa juu kama ukuchagua mheshimiwa huwezi saidika. Hizo ndio vitu challenge mingi tuko nazo kwa kijiji.
Na mimi Kenya naweza ongezea hapa kwa MCA wetu. Naache wale watu wako chini yake, wale wamemsurround, waache kumpelekeanga siasa. Oh, fulani ni wa pande hii, oh fulani ni wa pande hii.
Sio bora sisi tutumike kuweka watu kwenye vyeo na hawana na watutetei maslahi zetu.
Sisi kama wananchi tunafaa tupate komiti yetu yenye inaweka wanasiasa wetu ama viongozi wetu wenye tumewachagua in order. Ile design tunaweza wafanyia follow up, tuambie by the way tukikuingiza kwa hii kiti tulishirikiana na wewe ukatuzia manifesto ukasema utafanya ABC for the first 100 days ama first 90 days, lakini mpaka saa hii haujawajibika. Kama hujawajibika tunakufanyia nini?
Ikifika kwa debe pana pura, piga bao pana pura. Umesikia?